All right, good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. It's 3 o'clock and it's time again for the Living a Purposeful Lifestyle show right here live on LinkedIn. Today, I have a very special guest with us. She is one of the most positive people persons that I've ever met. Her passion for people and her passion for helping others live and be at their best definitely set her apart. She spent over 20 years in corporate America before getting the bug to branch out and start her very own executive administrative assistant business. And I'm super thrilled to introduce you all to Ingor van Rooi. So, Ingor, welcome to the show. It's so awesome to have you. I've known you now for a little while, but I'm so thrilled we were able to find time to get together and discuss your journey of entrepreneurship.
Hi, Jason. Thank you so much for having me. It's good to be here, and I'm excited to share my journey with everyone.
Yeah. So one of the things that I really learned about you is that you really are good at helping people find solutions to problems that they are facing because of your experience previously. So, like, for those at home, like, we'll get to the entrepreneur side, but kind of fill in the gaps a little bit. Like, what did that 20 years in corporate America kind of look like from your vantage point?
Um, well, it's actually I was not just in corporate America. So I'm originally from South Africa. I studied IT at university, and industrial sociology, which is very far removed from where I found myself and where I find myself today. Um, Straight out of university, I started working in the capacity of administration at the university itself. Um, and it's always been something that I'm passionate about because intrinsically the reason why I actually do it is because I love people, and I love to help them and enable them to succeed in life. So I immigrated to Canada in 2006, where I continued on my journey, working in the corporate world, as an executive assistant. And I'm just passionate about it. I really love just to make sure that things are running smoothly from the back end. That's why having an interview like this is kind of out of my comfort zone, but it's all good. We all need to take steps outside and take those little steps outside of our comfort zone. Hello, Bonnie. Hello, Diane.
Yeah. So we have Diane and Bonnie joining us. They're big supporters of the show. Love you, ladies. So, when you talked about moving to Canada, that had to be a huge step, right? I mean, that's not getting in a U-Haul and moving 200 miles down the road. That's a pretty challenging move. So,
Yes.
that had to be a process, right?
It was a process. I actually met and fell in love with someone that lives in Canada, and things just, I guess, progressed from there. And for me to actually get to the point of moving here was definitely a process. Um, Never mind the fact that it took me a while to get my documents to be
Yes.
able to immigrate. But I I started with we got married in January of 2006, and I moved here in November of 2006. And it had to be that the separation had to happen because it took a while to get my documents and then to apply for immigration and eventually arrange everything so that I could move here.
Wow. So when you were an executive assistant, um, when you were doing that, what at what point did you say, I'm really good at this, but I don't need to work for XYZ company. I can work for myself. When did that happen, and kind of like how did that happen?
It's funny actually. It happened last year. I know that's kind of, to me now when I look back on it, it's kind of crazy because, it was right in the middle of the pandemic. And what actually happened was, I'll take you a little bit further back. So in 2018, I was working for a really large corporate company in Toronto. And they were going through corporate restructuring, and I was let go. And, on my papers it says let go without cause because I didn't do anything to cause that. But when it happened, I felt as though the rug was pulled right out from underneath my feet. And this that day, I was pretty devastated. But I try to stay positive despite what happens, because no matter where you are in life, things will always, bad things will always happen, right? It's just about how we receive those things and how we deal with them and move on. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, it's interesting because I hear you talk about, you were let go without cause, meaning force reductions, or they're trying to downsize. And I think that the word the in just American business, or North American business in general, there's this, it used to be, back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, you went to work at a company, and quite honestly, most people stayed for a lifetime, right? They got their pension, they retire, spent 45, 50 years working for GE, and off they go, right?
Yes.
And that's just not the pathway anymore. And it's tough because there's hard business decisions that have to be made to keep up with corporate America's thirst to keep shareholders happy and things like that. And so what ends up happening so often is you find companies that make these decisions and affect people's lives, but they want loyalty from their employees. It's kind of like it's a no-win situation because in my mind, the employees, you know, it's tough to ask someone to be fully loyal to you if you don't intend to do the same for the long haul, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And I found myself in that situation, Jason, and I'm going to tell you, I was very loyal to that company. I lived, ate, breathed that company. I'm telling you. So, I was actually born with congenital hip dysplasia. So in 2012, I had a hip replacement, a total hip replacement on my left side. Um, and as soon as I came out of recovery, I got on my laptop and I was emailing and doing work. I'm not even kidding. Like my department received an email from me with an update right after my recovery from and the recovery is 1 hour after surgery, right? So that was me, and they thought my husband had sent the email. But when I told them that it was me, they were even shocked. So that was the kind of loyalty that I had for the company. And I've done it more than once because in 2013 I had another total hip replacement on my right side, and I did the same thing. And in 2015 I had a baby, and I was doing it then too. Throughout my mat leave, I was working. So I was really loyal to the company. And I just realized, when that happened to me, I realized that, what? Unfortunately, a lot of the time we're just a number and we need to start looking out for ourselves. So when that happened to me, I still didn't really get that message loud and clear. I did have a yearning to start my own business, but I was afraid. I was really afraid to fail, because establishing a business was something that was completely unknown to me. And I didn't know, I don't, even up to today, I hardly know any entrepreneurs. So, when I'm doing it and I'm getting up every day, a lot of the time I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm
You,
just I'm living my passion. That's what I'm doing, right? The business stuff comes, I guess, it's in the back of my mind, right? But
so
anyway,
I want to stop you for a second because you said, when I get up, I don't know many entrepreneurs. There's some entrepreneurs on watching right now, and I know one of them, Bonnie, and she'll tell you, that's a fallacy. So, like, when you look at these people that are successful and you feel like it's just reached the pinnacle, I'm telling you, Inger, everyone is just trying to figure it out, and they're just doing it in their own way, right? We're all just
yeah,
trying to figure it out, and
it's
I
true.
think that we often tell ourselves that, oh, well, we're not as good as them because look at them, and many times it's because they're just farther down the road. They've been walking the road farther. And for
Yeah,
every mile you walk down the road, you gain that knowledge, experience, and wherewithal. And you meet people along the way that add depth of understanding and maybe pathways to be more successful. But you shouldn't be thinking in your mind of, oh, I know nothing. You know way more than you think you know.
that is true. And I've learned that. I'm just reading Bonnie's comment. Thank you, Bonnie.
Yeah.
I'd love to connect with you afterwards, by the way. Yes, we do learn as we grow, and as you go along, you're growing, right? So at the end of the day, really, I'm finding my feet. I'm walking, and all that I have to do is really to get up and be passionate and walk in my purpose in order for me to be successful. Um, so I really had no clue how to start. And last year, in the middle of the pandemic, a friend of mine reached out to me and she said, "Hey, Inga, what are you doing right now, like for work?" And I said, well, I'm applying for work, but there's nothing right now. So she said to me, "Oh, okay. The reason why she was reaching out is because she knows I'm South African, and she's now working for a company that is South African." And she said, I should apply. And then I said, I'll have a look at the company profile. I said, but I'm in between deciding whether I should start my own company. And she said something to me that was really profound. Her name is Kareen. And Kareen said, "Why don't you try anyway? If you fail, you can always go back to corporate." And that stuck with me because, that fear that we feel when we're intimidated by something it inhibits you so much that you don't even want to try.
It's
But
crippling.
sorry, say that again, please.
It's crippling is what it is. It's like taking shackles with those big black balls that they show, and it's dragging behind you. And
Yeah,
every step you take, it's like taking that much more energy to move forward because you're carrying this around, right?
exactly. Exactly. So, when she said that, that kind of hit me because I'm raising three daughters. And, you know, um, in this world that we're living in today, I don't have to tell you, women face a lot in order for them that they need to overcome in order for them to be successful, right? So I'm raising these three daughters, and, I have to realize that they are watching. So I'm trying to teach them that they can do things even despite the fear that they feel. And that's why I started.
Yeah. Well, and I think so. I think that that's great. So then you started, and so did you start working for anyone in particular when you took your first gig, or did you just start putting feelers out?
So before I started, this friend that I told you about, Kareen, she put me in touch with someone who had walked this journey already. So she was a new entrepreneur, and the lady that I spoke with, her name is Karen, and Karen actually said that she would mentor me. So she walked me through everything and coached me in order for me to begin, because she's also in Canada, and she knows the rules and the regulations around entrepreneurship. So she was able to walk me through it, and that's how I started.
Awesome.
Um, and when going back to what you said about did I start working with anybody in particular, um, I registered my company and I started working with my first client 2 weeks later. And the way that I did it actually was through scouring Facebook, and I got in touch with a company which was basically a third party that ended up contracting me out to another company.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that that's a good way to start, right? So you bridged the gap there. Jim, kind of commented, can't always go back, not always an option. Careful. I do think that there's some truth to maybe you can't go back to the same company. Maybe it's not a direct path back. But what I will say is, I think that if you have skills and are a desirable type of person, whether you work for yourself and you take a year to focus on that, I think there's still going to be opportunities to go back and get a job, if you will. It may not be the exact job you had. And obviously, anytime you open a business or you start a business, a great deal of thought should be put into it as far as what you're going to do, how you're going to run it, and that kind of thing. And I think you gave this a lot of thought. I don't think this is something you wrote out of the bed on
No.
Tuesday and said, I'm going to go do this, right? Like this was something that kind of been in the back of your mind for a number of years and talking to you, right?
Yes, that's right. I had before I started, I had been thinking about it probably for about 3 years or so.
So did you do any, I'm just curious, did you do any like side hustle or any like small projects on the side while you're still in corporate America when you were before you before you were laid off and went all in, or did you just go from corporate America, laid off, and then full on board entrepreneurship?
I never did any side hustle. But that said, though, like I've always wanted to, but I just didn't know how. And what I didn't realize is that even though I was yearning to do this, I was accumulating transferable skills. And most of us don't realize that, you know what, the easiest way really to start a business is to take the skill set that you've developed wherever you've been working and use that to start something else.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to. I think we get, especially if you spend any length of time in a channel, me and convenience, you and
Yeah.
executive, being an admin, right? You don't realize you get almost so good at it that you just feel like everybody knows. Like there's nothing special about this,
Yeah.
and so
Exactly.
we can become our own worst critic, right? Because of that.
Yeah. And you really think that if, oh, this is nothing, everybody knows how to do this. But really, they don't.
No, and that's been kind of a weird thing for me. I've been going through this transition this year. Is that as I talk to people and I do some local networking and I meet more people, I have people ask me how I developed this skill set, and I'm like, I don't know. I just assume everybody knew how to do this,
Nope.
and it's a weird deal. And they're like, no, Jay, no, nobody knows how to do that quite like you. Like, how do you do that? And a lot of times, I think the stuff that we struggle to be able to explain how you do it is your magic, right? When you really can't explain how you do it, you can just do it. That's the magic, right? In my mind.
Yeah. I remember I remember my first conversation with you. You spoke about um, my zog, my zone of genius, right? That's
Yes.
really like, as you're developing the skills that you, through whatever position you're filling, that becomes your zone of genius because you're honing your skill set.
Yep. And that's what Bonnie's talking about right there is that, and I think putting yourself out there also and being willing to be vulnerable also helps to bring some of those skill sets and awareness to them. So
Yeah.
let's go back to the story. So, she says, you should look at this company, and you're like, I think I'll do my own thing. How has it been? So this has been going on for what now? 6 months, 8 months?
I lose track actually. It's been since August of last year. So,
Okay, so almost a year, nine
yeah.
months. So let's talk. I like to talk good, better, best. All right. So what's the good part about being an entrepreneur and making that decision?
I think the great thing about being an entrepreneur is I get to choose what I want to do and who I want to work with.
You don't have that choice at corporate America.
No, there were many times actually. Not, I love people and I love working with different kinds of people, and I'm very passionate about people. But there are certain people that would kind of rub me the wrong way, and I had no choice. I had to suck it up and go to work, despite whoever that was trying to make my life difficult. Right? Um,
Yeah.
as now, it's a whole new ball game.
It's funny because I look at it and say to myself, uh, there is power in that who you work with, right? Because often who we work with goes a long way in determining that do I get fulfillment and do I enjoy what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
I I talk a lot about, in my case, our typical store managers, they get to work somewhere between 7 and 7:30 and they're there till 4:35 each day. It's a 10-hour day. And so when you really look at the map, you say 10 hours a day, there's 24 hours in a day. If they sleep 8, that means they're sleeping 8, they're there 10, that means they're with their family 6. So they are actually spending more time in reality with the people they work with and the people that come into their stores than they do their own family.
Yeah.
And life is way too short to wake up every day miserable, right?
Exactly.
So I totally vibe with that thought of who we work with says a lot about how we feel about things and where our comfort zone is with everything.
Yeah. And I've lived that really. Even within my entrepreneurial journey. The client that I initially signed up with, I no longer work with them. And I'm happy to say that I severed that tie, because their values didn't resonate with me.
So Bonnie wants to know, Inger, are you planning to bring in others to help you?
I love that question, Bonnie. So I I said the reason why I do what I do is because I love people, right? And the reason why I'm an entrepreneur is, so I'm South African and I see a big gap in terms of employment there. So, and just even within my family, right? So yes, I do plan to bring in people to work with me. I'm actually exploring that at the moment because I want to help others and empower them to be able to do what I do and have the freedom to work from home or actually work from anywhere they want.
So one of the things that I think is so crucial for you is let's talk about before we go to that question. Why don't you talk a little bit about some of the things that you do? Like, where is your wheelhouse? So, administrative support can be very wide ranging. So, what are the things you're really good at, and what are the things that you find yourself helping your current clients on, and what are the things that you really want to focus on helping others with?
Um, so one of the things that I'm really good at is writing content. It doesn't matter where or for what. I've helped to edit different types of documents like theses, speeches, uh, some news releases, a lot of communication between the company that I work with and their clients or their vendors. Um, Letters of support. I've been, that's one of the things that I'm really good at because I have a great love for language and English. And then, one of the skill sets that I've really developed and honed is calendar management and event management. So those are the things that I mainly focus on with regards to helping my current clients. And I've developed those skills over the years. I find that it's invaluable, really, because we need words to communicate, right? So that's one of my favorite things to be able to do for others.
So are you very well I'm sure you're versed in all the Microsoft suites, um, pretty well versed in all the different social media sites and things like that to where you can help with that. Um, and I know that you're very well connected. So like even with digital and some of that stuff, you have people that you can work with on some of those projects if need be, right?
Yes, I do. I have a funny story for you about Microsoft Office. So before I immigrated to Canada, I was actually a lecturer at a college, and I taught mainly Microsoft Office usage. So yes, I am well versed in Microsoft
Wow.
Office.
I thought about this is a funny thing. I have really thought about going back for a refresher on Word and Excel. I'm very good with those, but like some of the newer features and stuff that have come out over the last 5 to 6 years, I just haven't had time to go and really play with them. And so I have strongly considered taking a quick refresher course to on some of that more advanced stuff.
Yeah, it's really valuable. Those are Microsoft Office is mainly used by most of my clients, and also like most companies use that, right? Unless they're using the Google Suite, but mostly, yeah, Microsoft Office is the way to go.
Yeah. So Michael had said earlier, how key it is to work with other people that share your same values and your same purpose, and that's when the magic happens. I couldn't agree with that more, Michael. I think that's spot on.
Me too.
Ingors, yeah. So, and I thought this was a really nice comment. Carmen said you're amazing, Ingors. So I agree 110%. Carmen, she is amazing.
Thank you, Carmen. Shout out to Carmen. She's actually one of my closest friends that I met on LinkedIn. So she's here supporting me. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Carmen. We both appreciate you. So, Inger, when you were thinking about marketing yourself, what were some of the first things that you did to like get it out to the universe that hey, this is what I'm doing?
Okay, so the first thing that I did was I had an ad in a newspaper. And guess what?
Let me guess, it wasn't very successful.
Nope, not at all. I've also done Facebook ads, no bites. But the best thing that I've ever done for marketing myself was engaging and connecting with people on LinkedIn.
Yeah, well, I tell people this all the time. In today's society, trying to use newspaper ads is the equivalent of going and trying to catch a fish out of a puddle out behind the house from a rainstorm, right?
Yep.
Could a fish magically appear out of the sky? Maybe, but probably not likely, right?
No. It's funny because it was part of a campaign for people of color and businesses of color. So I didn't pay for it, but I still expected a little bit more, more engagement from it. You win some, you.
Yeah, yeah, but I think you learned a valuable lesson early on, though. But you know, I think that that's one thing also for entrepreneurs is making sure that there's so many ways for social media anymore, right? There's LinkedIn, there's Instagram, Facebook, um, Twitter, there's Snapchat. I mean, it's almost overwhelming how many platforms there are. And I
Yeah.
think you have to ask yourself is where does the people that I want to work with, where would they most likely be at? And in your case, that's this is your domain, LinkedIn. That's where they are.
Yeah, it is. When I was being coached, my coach was trying to steer me in the direction of Instagram, and I have an Instagram profile. I I'll answer Bonnie's question, but I have an Instagram profile. I have a Facebook profile, and I don't get any bites from it. It's just a presence, and basically, I haven't posted on there for a long, long time. And to answer Bonnie's question, no, I don't intentionally market myself on LinkedIn. To be honest with you, on LinkedIn, I use this platform just to share my thoughts on positivity, gratitude, and kindness. And my clients come to me.
Yeah. So you've taken the approach of build friendships and real meaningful relationships and allow those relationships to blossom into business, whether that be through referrals or whether that be through those folks needing someone to help with projects and things, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I've just been building my network, really. That's what I've been doing.
Hey, does this look familiar? I think someone else with a bald head told you this last time I talked to you.
Yeah. I'm still a little bit intimidated by doing videos, but I will get there, I guess.
Part of the evolution is that's part of one of the reasons we decided to do the show together was to help you with that evolution, right? And to start the thing is that you remember what we talked about earlier, Ingor, about you know how we see ourselves versus how other people see us, right? And you have such a great voice in the way that you think and the way that you view business that I don't even know that you realize that that perspective and that way of thinking is special, and that when you really get out of that comfort zone and share that with the world, you're going to be unstoppable.
Thank you. I no, I don't. I never thought of it that way. I'll,
Bonnie says you must.
I'll try, Bunny. It's very much out of my comfort zone, and that's part of growth, I guess, too, right? I'll get there.
I think you should connect with Bonnie after the show, but Bonnie is really good at video, and man, she's probably the very best person that I've met yet myself, purposing videos a different way. She's right there with Gary Vee with how she'll take a clip and she'll break it apart in 13 ways and use it 13 different ways.
Well,
And she's a genius when it comes to that.
well, Bunny, I'm gonna become your new best friend.
So she's a New Yorker, so she'll love that.
Awesome.
So Inger, when you're looking at you know looking ahead and you're thinking about okay, there's people watching or that will watch this down the road. What do you think your ideal client looks like? Like, what does their business look like for the people that you're helping now?
Um, my ideal client is an entrepreneur that's overwhelmed with the administrative tasks, and just needs help managing those things. It's somebody that wants to shift their focus from these admin tasks to income generating tasks, and I'm there to help them. and me and my team, actually, should I say.
That's great. So if they want to get a hold of you, Inger, how's the best way to get a hold of you?
The best way probably would be through LinkedIn. That's my name, and that's what I call myself on LinkedIn. I am still to encounter another Inger, so I'm pretty unique. Funny story about my name, I didn't like it growing up. I always asked my parents, why would you even call me that? Because people always botched my name. But now it's kind of a calling card.
Yeah, this message from Bonnie, I thought was, it says, I'll give you some great ideas on that.
Thank you.
All right. So if somebody's trying to find you, Inger, is it just on LinkedIn? Is that the only way, or is there other ways that are good to find you?
Yes, they could. So my business name is We Got This Admin. And if you search We Got This Admin, you can contact me through my website. If you search on Google, you'll find our website, or on LinkedIn, or if you like, you can send me an email. And my email address is info@wegotThisAdmin.com.
All right. Info at
wegotThisAdmin.com.
Okay. All right. So we're getting down towards the end of our time, and I always like the guests to give our viewers, just that push or that extra juice. The show is about living purposefully. Obviously, Inger, you have found your purpose and have really started embracing entrepreneurship. So if there's somebody watching that's on the edge or looking over and thinking about it, why don't you give them a little nudge or a little push of how they can live more purposefully?
How to get to live more purposefully? I would say get out of your own way. Step out of your comfort zone, push past that fear, and just take those little strides. It doesn't have to be a huge step for you. Just take a little step and see how it feels and feel how it resonates with you, and then take another step. Before you know it, when you look back, you will realize that you're way past where you were and where you used to be, and you will notice the big difference that it makes on your own life.
Wow, I think that's so cool.
Thank you.
So I appreciate all those words. For those of you like Bonnie, Jim, Michael, Carmen, everyone that joined in today, Joe, I just want to say thank you so much for being here, Diana. We'll do this again next week. I've got another special guest lined up for next week. Inger, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for sharing your life with us and sharing your perspectives. And until next Wednesday, I hope everyone has a great week, and we'll see you then.
Thanks, everyone, for joining in. Take care.